So, Mr. Hong, the two sides have also been looking to reconnect a series of rail and road links. Washington used to have concerns that such connections would undermine the ongoing sanctions. So, how will these road and rail links benefit the DPRK exactly?
First of all, Washington did not show concerns for the railway connection projects itself. The exact wording was, I quote, "We expect every member of the United Nations oppose the sanctions set by the Security Council. The railway connection projects do not fall within the sanctions technically, and indeed Washington expressed full support for the projects the other day. Railway and road connection is very important preliminary work for full-scale economic cooperation between the two Koreas, setting up primary infrastructure for further development. Especially, it can benefit the North in logistics, both in terms of export and import in goods and the mobility of production components, and would further help the promotion of tourism industries such as East Coast regions of North Korea. Meanwhile, the recent U.S. support for the projects has an implication that the North and U.S. are also making progress on the lifting of sanctions and the denuclearization process. And we need to note that lifting of the sanctions and the progress on the denuclearization process are interconnected, and they can be stopped at some stages in practice. But Washington has been expressing that if certain levels of denuclearization process is achieved, it can reach irreversible phase, and the sanctions can be lifted in an effective level at some point.
In the meantime, we have also seen cooperation between Seoul and Pyongyang in many areas of late, of course, sport and culture and military. How do you think these efforts are contributing to the bigger picture of denuclearization and eventually peace on the Korean Peninsula?
There is a very strong link between the lifting of the sanctions and the denuclearization process, and in principle, the cooperation between the two Koreas should go hand in hand with the progress between Pyongyang and Washington. But albeit some concerns about the denuclearization, I think Pyongyang and Washington showed strong trust for each other at the last summit and in many correspondences afterwards. So even though uncertainties at the practical levels at some stages in the denuclearization process, both sides keep working on calibration of it, and South and North Korea also keep going on cooperation in various fields. In this sense, I see no reasons the two Koreas stop cooperating to ease tensions and build framework for full-scale cooperation afterwards. So in conclusion, I think the cooperation between the two Koreas is vital in that their efforts are functioning as a catalyst for the denuclearization, as well as building the economic cooperation itself.
Mr. Jaesung Hong speaking to us from Seoul. Thank you so much for your